My parents didn't care about my wedding. It ruined our relationship.
And I don't care about you. Just kidding, I love you.
Okay, so 2 months ago, my fiance and I decided to start wedding planning. We've been together for 7 years and engaged for 2. I had 2 family passings within the time we were engaged, so wedding planning took a big pause. I also helped take care of my grandmother during the end of her life to alleviate some of the caretaker stress from my mom. By the way, this comes from user JuniorStuff2825. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. We finally decided to wedding plan and told our parents 2 months ago in February. My fiance's mom was on board from the start. My mom gave me a hard time, but then stated that she was just joking. I basically had to ask if they were willing to help, and they said yes after I said that my fiance's parents were going to help. Both of our parents came to town in March for my fiance's dad's birthday and my mom's birthday. Both of their birthdays are in March, so we thought it'd be cool to celebrate them together and allow them to get closer before we get married. My fiance's parents helped my parents get a discount on the resort room they were staying at. We spent the whole weekend with them. I bought my parents food to keep at their villa. We all went to dinner at a nice restaurant. My fiance's mom paid for everyone to have shots, and I paid for everyone's dinner. My future mother-in-law tried to bring up the wedding conversation with my mom. My mom stayed quiet and smiled awkwardly. I brushed it off and told my mother-in-law that maybe she just didn't understand. My parents mainly speak Spanish, but my mom understands and speaks English pretty well compared to my dad. My fiance's parents speak both English and Spanish, but are used to always speaking in English, so my mother-in-law said that she forgot and apologized for speaking in English. The wedding was not brought up again after that awkward interaction. My parents decided to invite their friends, a married couple, to the resort, and things got kind of weird after that. The next day, we were all supposed to hang out by the pool and enjoy the resort amenities, but my parents went and did their own thing with their friends, and my fiance's parents were also doing their own thing. My fiance ended up staying with her parents by the pool, and I went with my parents and their friends by the ping pong area. It didn't seem like there was much interest from my parents to be around my fiance's parents. They just wanted to enjoy their time drinking and hanging out with their friends. Again, the wedding was never brought up again. After a week or so, my future mother-in-law did recommend a place to do a reception and take photos, but we were not in love with it. We spoke to a wedding planner that was out of our price range, but she had the cool suggestion that we get our marriage license on our anniversary, which is April 6th. We thought that was a great idea, and I just told my fiance that we should just do our own thing. Since my family hadn't mentioned anything about the wedding, and her mom had not gotten back to us about a wedding venue that she was going to look into. We got our marriage license on the 8th of April, since our anniversary day was on a Sunday and the courthouse was closed. We started planning for a courthouse elopement-style wedding. We found this amazing photographer that specializes in elopements and courthouse/micro weddings. We fell in love with her work and we're like, yeah, this is what we want to do. My fiance started dress shopping and told her mom what our plans were. Her mom was immediately on board and said she wished she could go dress shopping with her. I told my fiance that she should dress shop with her mom, so she has someone special there with her. The next day, my fiance drove down to dress shop with her mom and found the perfect dress, and her mom paid for it with no hesitation. My future mother-in-law remembered this wedding venue place, and it turns out she knows the owner. We got an estimate of $13,000 for a venue that included everything: a his and her suite, a honeymoon suite, wedding day coordinator, catering, ceremony, reception, cake, bartender, DJ, real flowers, silk flowers, and they took care of all the decorations to our own liking.
Oh, that kind of seems like a pretty good deal.
I have no idea what a good deal is for this. Just put it out there. I've openly said my wedding will cost $1,000. So,
ladies, there's your guy right there.
I've said it once, I'll say it again.
I will say the same thing I said to you last time. Dakota, have you met women?
For $13,000, that was a steal compared to venues we looked at that were $20,000 and up. I planned a day to suit shop with my sister, and we planned a day to meet up with the lady at the venue to take a look around and have a better understanding of things. I spoke to my mom that night. I was already a little upset because 2 months had passed, and she had yet to ask me anything about our wedding planning or offered any support. My parents had just been silent since I mentioned we were wanting to get married 2 months ago. I basically said, we are wanting to get married in May, so I'm letting you know. I also said, T's mom already bought her the wedding dress. I said this to solidify how serious we are about getting married. She said, okay, we can help you buy your outfit since T's mom paid for her dress. I was like, okay, thank you. And then told her about the venue. She stated, you can't find anything more economical? We don't have money like T's parents. I explained to her that in this economy, this was the most economical that we were going to get compared to how much weddings and other venues cost. Also, I don't remember at any point T being referred to as T, but that is OP's fiance.
Okay.
Is T. She sighed and said, well, you have to let me know exactly what day because I have to request it off, and if my boss doesn't give me the day off, then I won't be able to go. I stayed quiet after this comment in disbelief and then explained to her that the venue was all-inclusive. I expressed that my fiance's parents were willing to go half on the venue. My mom rambled on about something and said, let me call you back. 4 days went by and she never called me back. Instead, she started to ask my younger sister who lives with them if she had spoken to me. My sister knew the situation and thought it was messed up, so she told our mother that maybe she would call me if she wanted to know how I was doing.
W's sister.
Maybe call her back.
Yeah, she's like, hey, do you know what OP's up to and everything? I don't know. Why don't you call him?
There's a little invention. It's a telephone. Regardless, we went to see the venue 2 days after my initial conversation with my mom. The venue was actually located near my parents' house, literally down the road, right after One Light. The lady was super sweet and even offered us the upgraded ceremonial chapel area and honeymoon suite for no extra charge. Well, they're already charging you $13,000.
I don't know. I'm liking this. I'm not mad.
They're like, we'll upgrade you to the ceremonial chapel area and the honeymoon suite. It's like, well, yeah, I'm paying $13,000, so I would hope so.
Like, this is 13,000% over my budget, okay?
Okay, she even lowered the amount to $10,495 with a 50% payment up front, and then the rest of the payment the day before the wedding. The lady was super sweet, and we fell in love with the venue. I told my fiance that this was an amazing offer and that we couldn't pass it up. I decided we should try to speak to my dad while my mom was at work. So we stopped by my parents' house. My dad sat down next to me while I showed him videos of the venue, and I explained everything. And after the last video finished, he just stood up and didn't say anything. He started to continue working on the backyard. My sister, fiance, and I all looked at each other confused. So I was like, hey? And he was like, what? I said, well, what do you think? And I started making a money hand motion with my hand to try to be funny and lighten up the mood. I don't know if that's what that was, or it was like,
I was thinking this, like,
give me, what do you think? Give me the money. The money. He said, we don't have the money for something like that. I said, okay, but T's parents are willing to go half. He said, they don't have $5,000. Which is a wild thing to say about somebody else whose finances you are completely unaware of.
Also, some just context that's like, they're up there in age. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, you never know anything, but like,
They don't
doubly.
Just crazy for that to be, well, they'll pay half. They don't have $5,000. I explained the lady at the venue lady, is willing to accept 50% first, $2,500 from them. He already sounded heated and was like, I guess we would have to put that on a credit card. I said, okay, but I wanted to tell you to understand that the rest of the money would be due before the wedding. He said, if I'm already struggling to find $2,500, what makes you think I'll be able to have another $2,500? I stayed quiet at first and then calmly asked him, well, how were you guys able to go to the Dominican Republic in February if you guys don't have any money? Said, oh, I saw you guys took a nice little vacation.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? Was that all expenses paid for free?
What about your suite? Huh? How about that? You can't pay for my suite, but you can pay for yours?
He immediately turned around and started screaming at me and pointing his fingers, saying, I paid for that with my money. I stayed quiet and then said, but if I were to be marrying a man, things would be different. Oh, I thought this. I didn't pick up on the genders, the sexes at the beginning. I don't know which one of those words is right. Please don't kill me. But yeah, yes, this is a definite case of if you had some more traditional values, maybe we'd be more willing to help you.
If you had a traditional marriage, I would give you traditional money.
He yelled back and said that it had nothing to do with that and walked away. I looked at my grandfather, who looked upset. My fiance looked shocked, and my sister looked disappointed. I held back my tears and told my fiance to grab our dog and that we were leaving. I told my grandfather that we would be moving back in June and that I would only come around to visit him, and said goodbye to my grandfather. My sister followed us out and said she knows that I wanted to cry and gave me a hug and said she would meet me at the suit shop. My fiance and I got in the car and cried all the way to the suit shop. I have not spoken to my dad since and do not plan on it until I get an apology. It took my mom 5 days from our initial conversation to text me and then call me. She started the conversation acting like everything was fine, which truly annoyed me because I was already hurt. And this is what I would deal with growing up. They would just never apologize and then out of nowhere act like everything was fine and think that this was okay to just move on from things like this. I finally said, so are we going to address the situation or continue like everything is fine? She said, are you talking about the situation with your dad? I said, yeah, that's part of it. She said, oh, well, you know how you get. I was shocked and became triggered with this comment, as I also was triggered, and as was John.
Same. Here I am.
I was like, how I get, he's the one that yelled at me. I admit I became emotional and responded emotionally, unable to control my anger. So I did raise my voice a bit on the phone. She said, you come to ask for money expecting us to pay. I said, I asked for support because you guys haven't said anything or asked if we needed anything. They never offered any kind of help and support. She started talking over me and was not letting me speak. I was so upset that I told her what kind of mother tells their daughter that if their boss doesn't give them the day off, that she wouldn't be able to go to their wedding.
A fair point.
Very true.
Very true.
Like, there's got to be such a short list of jobs and or bosses where it's like, hey, my daughter's getting married. Can I have the day off? And they'd be like, we just can't do it.
Are you kidding me?
We just can't do it.
Get back to work.
Yes.
Stop talking and start making money.
She kept talking and yelling on the phone over me to the point that I couldn't even make out what she was saying. Next thing I hear is the phone hang up. She started texting me saying, when you're ready to listen to me, you can call me. I wrote, you're the one that needs to listen to me because you guys have already caused enough damage to T and I. She said, no. It got kind of heated where I said she was ungrateful because of how I bent over backwards for her to have a good birthday weekend. Then she wrote me saying that I was the ungrateful one. I had to block her because at that point I was shaking and just wanted to scream and cry. The last thing that I saw from her messages that came through was something about if she had Zelle, she would send me money for her birthday gift and $500 for the dinner. And she also said, thank you for throwing it in my face. Can't we all just get along, folks?
Come on, man.
Can't we all just get along?
Apparently
Is it impossible?
Yes.
That is a good point, though. I'm not sure how I feel being like, well, what you guys won't pay $5,000 for my wedding? And then just being like, well, because why? Because you don't want to help me? It's like, I don't know, dude.
I think it's less about the money and more just about their attitude towards it. If they said like, oh, hey, you know, we're not doing so great on money right now. We want to do what we can to help support you. But it's like, hey, I don't know if I can go to the wedding if my boss doesn't let me. Dad's just like, that's my money. Blah, 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 blah. Like it's their attitude and energy towards it. You know, I feel like they could still be amazing parents while not spending a dime potentially on the wedding because, you know, who knows their situation.
Yeah. And just basically like you gotta earn it.
Yep.
Why am I gonna pay for your wedding? It's not mine. It's yours.
Exactly.
The thing is, I wasn't trying to throw it in her face. I was trying to get her to see things from my perspective and understand how I felt. Of course, as my parents, they have done a lot for me. But I have also been a good daughter who has been their personal translator for them since the age of 6. Anything they needed me to do on the computer, I would do for them, like resumes or job applications, resignation letters, etc. Anything that they needed me to translate or be there for, I would do it. My fiance even told her parents that whenever my parents need something, I am quick to drop everything that I'm doing and go help them. She's witnessed my family / my people-pleasing behavior, and she's the one that has taught me how to not take so much on and help me learn how to say no to certain things because I would always run myself dry, not filling up my own cup. The situation is truly disheartening. I told my fiance that I don't want my parents at the wedding, and as much as it breaks my heart to let the wedding venue go, we have to. Her parents were willing to still go half with us on the wedding venue, but they also didn't want us to put ourselves in debt since we want to save up for a house. So at this point, I haven't spoken to my family other than my sister. We decided to go with our original plan and do the courthouse wedding with a nice reception dinner at Maggiano's. My fiance's parents are willing to pay for the reception and the photographer. My sister even offered to give us $500 after she figures out her tax situation. At this point, I don't think I want my parents there, and I do not think I will be inviting them to the courthouse. I think that maybe I will be more upset if I see them and remember all the pain they caused me around wedding planning. I'm not upset that they can't help me financially. I'm hurt that I had to ask them for help instead of them offering or having a simple, calm conversation about it. I would have loved if they had been like, hey, we don't have a lot of money, but we want to extend our help and support in any kind of way. There are many ways to support an adult child on the most important day of their life that doesn't include money. It was their lack of interest in asking us how the wedding planning was going. It's like they turned their blinders on after I mentioned it. It's a strange situation because they love my fiance. Part of me thinks it's low-key embedded in them that two women shouldn't be married, but my sister and fiance don't think it's that. They are very old school but have come a long way since my sister and I are both attracted to the same gender. My fiance thinks that they are embarrassed that they aren't able to financially help us like her parents, but are going about it the wrong way. The way they're reacting is just so strange. We are all confused. All my future mother-in-law can say is that she is so sorry and has been supportive and emotionally there for us. I feel grateful to be a part of my fiance's family and can't wait to marry their daughter. Aw. They have truly shown up for us, especially during this difficult and stressful time. What do you guys think I should do regarding my parents? What do you think is going on or why they are reacting this way? Am I wrong for wanting nothing to do with them now? I feel so hurt and lost. We were so excited to be wedding planning, and now I feel like every day is a struggle for me to get anything done and be motivated. I feel like I'm going through a mini depressive moment in my life when I should be happy and excited to be marrying the love of my life and my best friend. I even created a GoFundMe to see if that would help pay for the wedding venue, but nothing so far. I really just wanted to see my fiance walk down the aisle. We fell in love with this wedding venue, but we had to accept that we can't afford it without putting ourselves in a financial restraint. I was excited about the courthouse elopement style wedding before seeing this venue and imagining what could be. Now it's hard to go back to feeling excited about the courthouse/elopement wedding. I'm trying to get back to that feeling though by looking at the amazing photos our photographer has taken of other couples at the courthouse and surrounding areas, hoping to speak with her in the next few days to solidify things. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories like this for not just the next few days, but for the next 53 days non-stop on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Search OK Storytime, and there you can listen to over 1,272 hours worth of stories. Now, but we do have some more story here. But John, let's get solid, okay? What are we gonna do? What are we doing about the parents? How are we keeping the parents out of the courthouse wedding?
I think we need to maybe take a beat, and think about, okay, like, what do we want to do here? If OP does not want the parents at the wedding, that's totally fair. That's the people who hold the wedding decide who is at the wedding. That is how that works. So if OP ultimately decides that, go for it. And maybe I think it could be worth saying, and I know that the parents are just crashing out and we're trying and they're just always saying terrible things, but maybe going to them and being like, hey, listen, like everything you've said and done throughout this whole wedding planning experience makes me want to not invite you to the wedding. I would love to have my parents there, but like if you don't start acting in a way that's like actually supportive, I don't want you at my wedding.
Right, because it does feel like very sort of burdensome or afterthought-ish the way that they're approaching it, because it's like, I get it, where it's like, oh, we don't have $5,000. But instead of being like, how dare you ask us for $5,000? It's more just like, well, I don't have $5,000, but I can help you in a different way. Like, what do you need? What else do you need? So I told my fiance that any money that is given to us during the reception dinner, I would like to give it to her parents because they deserve it. We never had to ask them for anything. They immediately offered and were like, we will pay for this. Let's do this. Let me know, etc. Grateful for her family. And there are some comments. Comment 1, I am not sure you actually received an agreement that they would hand over $5,000 for your wedding. $10,000, not quite sure what all-inclusive covers or how many guests, etc. Seems very reasonable, but if they can't afford it, they can't afford it. They should have communicated this better though. Comment 2, I'm not sure why you expected them to give you money. You didn't ask if they were able to give you money. You made a joke about money. In the past, did they ever tell you they would help pay for a wedding? Have you ever talked about finances with them? Something is going on. Just because they had money for a vacation doesn't mean they have money for you. Some people live paycheck to paycheck. I think you expected too much from them. However, they are treating you like crap for some reason. I know that hurts. I would suggest going no contact for the immediate future and don't invite them. Just try to enjoy your day and your new life. Good luck and congratulations to you and your partner. OP says, in reply to that comment, 2 months ago, I told them that we were starting to wedding plan and wanted to get married this year since my grandfather is still alive. I've had 2 grandmothers pass away 1 year after the next during the time my fiance and I have been married. My mom joked about the wedding because that's how I was raised, to use humor when avoiding serious topics. I got frustrated and was like, okay, never mind, I guess we will elope. Then she said, well, if T's parents are going to contribute, then we will as well. Then they never brought up the wedding or asked anything regarding our wedding planning. They stayed silent. A few weeks ago, when I spoke to her about my fiance's mom buying her dress, she said she would pay for my outfit. Then she got overwhelmed when I tried to talk to her about the venue. She told me she would call back and never did until 5 days later when we argued. She did her usual avoidant technique. I figured I would ask to see if they could help with the venue since they had told me they would help 2 months ago. They never gave me an amount or asked for a budget. They never spoke on it or asked questions. I've had to be the one to bring anything up. I understand they don't have the money and that's fine. I just don't appreciate how I'm being treated when I bend over backwards for them my whole life. Well, I understand that, but also I don't understand your comment of I've had to be the one to bring everything up. It's like, yeah, it's your wedding.
Yeah, like
you got to be proactive about stuff in your life. I don't care if it's your parents.
Yeah, and I think, like, you know, and OP said like it's not about the money, but I don't know. There is a sense of like, I feel like there's a tipping point where like, okay, this is just becoming too much. I mean, OP hasn't said whether they could afford it or not, or have.
Right. It's like, if the core of this is my parents wouldn't give me $5,000, should I cut them off and not let them go to my wedding? The answer is absolutely not. That is a ridiculous thing to do because, you know, judging from your dad's response, you being like, oh, well, you went on that vacation to Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, like with, I guess that means you're not broke. The way he got so angry after that might be an indicator that their finances are kind of messed up right now.
Yeah.
And he might have gotten mad because he thought, I don't have the money to have gone to the Dominican Republic and I wish I had it all back. And so now he's yelling at you because he's like, because it was mine. And it's like, I don't know.
A lot of misdirected, potentially. Yeah.
Miss was right because I'm noticing all throughout this story, the consistent theme is miscommunication.
Yes.
There is no consistent foundation of communication between OP and her fiance and her parents.
And also OP, instead of being like, hey, so I know we had this like conversation about it before, but do you guys think you could help? Like, this is team affordable.
Right.
She was like, hey, money?
Where's the money,
you got
pops?
the money? And I'm like, that is maybe not the best way to do that. So
especially if you're a traditional person, or it's like, you know, your parents are a little more traditional or a little more like, you know, where it's like, if you're going to ask your dad for $5,000, they're probably like, you know, you'd be like, hello, sir.
Yep.
May I ask for your, you know, I don't know. I don't know your dad.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm just spitballing here. I figured I would ask to see if they could help with the venue since they had told me they would help 2 months ago. They never gave me an amount or asked for a budget. They never spoke on it or asked questions. I've had to be the one to bring anything up. I understand they don't have the money and that is fine. I just don't appreciate how I'm being treated when I bend over backwards for them my whole life. It's not about the lack of financial support. It's about the lack of interest in our wedding, the lack of seriousness and emotional support through this journey. Also, the only reason I brought up money to my dad the way I did was because he watched the wedding venue video and just got up without saying a word and made things awkward. So I resorted to trying to make a joke to lighten the mood. They never let me say much because he resorted to yelling and saying they don't have the money. I was willing to accept whatever they were able to give, but I also don't like asking. So I was already frustrated that I even had to bring up an uncomfortable conversation about money and about having a wedding. At this point, we could have secretly eloped, and a year from now, my parents wouldn't have even asked us what day we were planning to get married. That's how uninvolved they have been. We've been engaged for 2 years, and not once has it been brought up by them. I agree with you about the no contact, which is what I have been planning on doing. It's not fair to me or my fiance, and I refuse to have my fiance experience what I had growing up. My dad's angry and yelling outbursts. Okay, well, that's information. All I want is an apology for once in my life. I don't even want their money. I just want an interest in me getting married to the person that I love. Thank you for your comment. And that is the end of that story. Dang, I strongly suggest do not go no contact with your parents.
Yeah.
You want that stuff. You want the apology. Like, all of this is very achievable, but you cannot get there without communication. And nothing has happened at this point that I would deem as like, all right, we can't. This is a point of no return. We can't come back from this.
Yeah. To your point, like, I feel like it'll probably be very healing for OP to be able to communicate in a way where it's like, okay, like maybe they're like, we just felt constantly pressured to like get the money, and then I like did a stupid thing which was getting angry at you and like not acceptable, but this happened and I'm sorry, and like I don't know, like to your point, I think there is a world where that happens.